Hi everyone, it's me, Beatty Kelly Sunflower. So I'm on today to do my May wrap up. So I want to talk about decks I used, decks I received, and my journal for the month. Okay, so let's talk about decks that I used first. So I used 3 decks. I used the Outsider Art, I used the Galactic Guidance Oracle cards, and I use the Africa Lenormand. So I try and use now 1 tarot, 1 Lenormand and 1 Oracle for the month, because it just makes it easier for me to have proper use of the cards. I find that if I use too many decks in 1 month, I don't actually get to use them properly, so I prefer just to do it that way. So this is a deck that I used for the month of May. It's a kind of like largy deck. It's kind of pipified, but it's got keywords. Usually I'm not into pip decks because I like to visually see pictures rather than just have pips. So this deck was a really predictive deck. I done daily readings with it, a couple of 1-card pulls in conjunction with my Oracle deck, and I read for about 3 people this month. So it's a really predictive reader. It kind of gossipy because it gives really in-depth meanings to each card. It's also visually pleasing. So the last person that I read with this deck was last weekend, my friend Alison. We went out for lunch and I gave her a reading, and she was really kind of like, she really liked the visualization of this deck. It kind of talks to you. It's blunt. The major arcanas are Rider-Waite inspired, but the minor arcanas are pips, but they've got keywords. So it's got Ace of Wands, Gift of Beginnings, and they're also color coded as well, balanced choice. So it's not so off-putting than if it was just like that with no keywords for me. So the wands are red, that ties in with fire. The cups are blue, that ties in with water. The swords are black, which is interesting because I see the swords to do with the mind. It would have been nice if they were like purple or even mustard. And the pentacles are kind of like lilac, which again is quite unusual because normally to me pentacles should be kind of like greens or kind of browns for earth. These are a bit larger than the regular RWS Smith cards. In fact, they're kind of like almost oracle size, but they do shuffle well and they are a good reader. I also like the guidebook. To me, the guidebook has got like a lot of information in there. So it gives you a blurb about the card, traditional meaning, and then it gives you the artist download. Doesn't seem to give you any reversed. So this is the tarot deck that I use, and I've got quite a lot of pleasure reading for people. And this is a deck as well that people enjoy visually. I also used these cards here, which is the Galactic Guidance cards. I think I got these in April from Etsy. It's got 27 cards, and the creator gives you the reasons why she chose 27 cards. But how I was using this deck, got the back skin, I was using it for daily pulls. So I was just kind of shuffling the card each day and then putting it on my stand for daily pulls. This deck, in my opinion, is not good as a clarify cards for a tarot reading. Just doesn't work. But as a standalone card of the day, it works really, really well. So, you know, when I shuffled the card and my card dropped out because I only read jumpers, I would then take the message from the guidebook. This deck is solely for 1-card pulls. It's quite, not possessive, but it likes to stand alone. Bit of a show-off deck. It helps to describe its personality. But it's a beautiful deck. It gave me some nice messages, and I have enjoyed using it this month. So with regards to my Lenormand cards that I use for the month, I used this deck here. It's called the African Lenormand deck, but it's a really nice reader. I used it on its own, and I also used it to clarify my readings with the Outsider Art Tarot. The artwork doesn't actually go with a tarot deck. Let me show you the tarot deck again that I used. So these are a few cards from the tarot deck, but in my opinion the artwork doesn't actually go. They're kind of like a mismatch, and also their personalities clash as well. Both strong kind of personalities. So as I said earlier, the tarot deck is kind of blunt, kind of chatty, and so is this deck as well. It gives a lot of information. Well, it hits my intuition, I should say. So they're both chatty decks, both got different kind of aesthetics, but for readings, because they're both chatty, they actually gave long readings, and this deck here is also very good for clarifying. But I think next time I use this deck, I'm going to use it with a more simple deck, and vice versa with this tarot deck. I think they work better with more simplistic decks because they're both kind of chatty personalities. But this deck's a beautiful Lenormand deck, and as I said before, I used it on its own, and I used it to clarify my readings with. I don't tend to use Lenormand cards for daily pulls unless I've got a really important question that I want answered. I'm only using them for readings. So this deck came in this kind of velvet bag as well. It didn't come in a box. So moving on to tarot decks, the first deck that I want to talk about is this one here. It's called the Anna Kay Tarot. So I had this deck in the mass market version, which is here, and unfortunately this mass market version has gone out of print, and it's going for quite a lot of money now on eBay and stuff like that. But the creator is still selling her indie deck. I think I paid, was it €29 for this deck? And it came by boat within 3 days from Austria, and I thought it was really good because I paid something like €6 for the delivery as well. So it was a really good price. I won't open it up as yet because this is my backup copy. But this is the mass market deck that I got. I edged it in black, and this one's out of print. But the actual original deck, which is this one, is actually going for a lot less money than the out of print mass market, which is flipping ridiculous when you think about it. But I might start using this deck actually in the autumn. It's quite a nice deck, quite powerful. I like the guidebook that it comes with. It gives very good explanations for the cards. A lot of funny facial expressions in this deck, but it's a really good deck. And I bought this deck to kind of like as a backup copy because, as I said, the Llewellyn one has now gone out of print. So if you are interested in Anna Kay, try and buy the indie deck from the creator. The creator also sells the Lenormand deck, which I've had for quite a while. So the tarot deck's 78 cards. The Lenormand deck is, I think it's 36 cards. My deck's well used because I've made a lot of use out of this deck. But they're the same price. They're exactly the same price, £28 or €28, which is strange that you're paying the same and you're getting double in the tarot deck. So Anna Kay deck is my first purchase. I then bought this deck here, Tarot of the Old Forest. This was a Martin Made Me Do It deck. I think he showed it on his channel. I thought, well, that's a nice deck. The creators are UK based, and I think they've got a shop in Glastonbury, he was saying, because I think Martin bought this from the actual shop. But this is actually cheaper than a lot of like mass market decks. I think I paid about £28 with the delivery. It's got beautiful gildings. It's animal based, and I just think it's a really nice deck. This badger here reminds me of kind of Rupert the Bear, even though he was a bear. The High Priestess is an owl. It's just a really nice deck if you're into animal decks. I'm not usually into animal decks, but for some reason this deck caught my fancy. It's got beautiful gold gildings at the back, and it's kind of like a nice soft kind of matty, buttery feel. I don't even know how to describe the card texture, but it's a really beautiful deck. I'm looking forward to working with this one. I wonder if the suits have got different animals, because sometimes when you have animal decks, the suits are normally connected. Also, it looks like that the cups are birds. Let's see what the wands are. Maybe they're not, but sometimes when you have animal decks, the suits are divided into different animals, but this one doesn't seem to be. But it's a beautiful deck, and I thought it was quite cheap for an indie deck. You know, £29 including delivery. Normally in the UK, indie decks go for about £50 on average. And even the box has got that same sort of like nice kind of soft buttery feel. This is a major only deck. I got this from the Little Red Tarot. Thank you so much for your support. It's got the interview spread there and just some thank you cards. This book is by one of the new people that have taken over Little Red Tarot from Beth. Her name's called Elena Tayo. I think she's dual heritage Welsh and Nigerian, because this deck is a major only deck, but it's dual heritage writing, I think, because I think she said it's both Welsh and English. I do wish it was a full deck, and I do hope in the future that she does bring out a kind of minor deck, or even a Lenormand deck, because I like reading Lenormand cards with major only decks. So it's kind of like collage art. Look at that little fawn in the big mass. It looks like she's underwater. The Magician. The High Priestess. Look how she's got trees growing out of her head. She got the Empress. That could be the creator as a child. The Emperor. So the Hierophant is described as lineage. I love the kind of like anchor background. That's so not lovely. Let me see what the guidebook says about the lineage. Can you see that it's dual? So the top part is in English and the bottom part is in Welsh. Connecting with those who came before the giants, whose soldiers we stand upon, those who fought for the rights we enjoy, now our ancestors and our heritage, connecting with those who come next. What we want to pass on, what world we want to leave behind, the type of ancestors we want to be, being in conversation with those complex illness. What are we tending? What seeds are we sowing? That's an interesting concept, isn't it, for the Hierophant? So I guess that because she is dual heritage, that could be her Nigerian heritage, because it's Nigerian anchor, like my tablecloth. And then this could be Wales, and that looks like it's her mother, or her grandmother even. So 6, the Lovers is called Careed. Card 7 is the Chariot. Card 8 is Strength. Isn't that beautiful? Female lion. Card 9 is the Hermit, and beautiful in her cave. That's the Wheel of Fortune. Justice. Suspension for the Hanged One. Death. Complexity. Aphanic. Tower. The Star. The Moon. The Sun. Judgment. And the World. These are the backs of the cards. It's like an orange moon. Beautiful deck. So I'm probably going to use this deck for myself with either Lenormand or playing cards, because sometimes I find that playing cards are also good to use instead of minor arcanas, because it's 52 cards, you know, so you can use playing card with the major arcana decks. Okay, so let's talk about my journal now. So can you see, look, I put the months at the side. So we're in June, but this is for May. So let's talk about the doll that I played with first before I go into my journal. So for the month of May, I had an operation, and the doll that I played with is this doll here called Seraphina. Seraphina was handmade for me by the lovely Martin from Martin Musins. He made this doll for me about 3 years ago when I had another surgery. And this is my healing doll. So whenever I'm not well or I have flare-ups, I prop her on top of my bed. So she goes in this case, which is quite difficult to see. So she goes in here, and then I often put her, you know, above my bed, and she protects me. She's a healing doll. So that's the doll that I used for the month of May. Now, my tarot card for the month of May was the Page of Wands. The deck that I used, the Visions Tarot, it's a mass market UK produced deck by Angela Tubb. The guidebook definition says, a child that loves attention will get involved with dance, drama or music, often very gifted, however, can be hard to keep up with. So my definition of the Page of Wands is, don't rush into things without thinking about the bigger picture. In a yes-no question, the Page of Wands is yes, because it suggests good news, fresh ideas and new opportunities on the horizons. So the crystal that I use this month, and I've misplaced it, is the carnelian one. I use that a lot, and that's all about exploring your passion. So the Page of Wands as a card of the month, to me, it means that the universe is offering me a window of opportunity to bring a spark of joy and innovation into my life. And the goal that I had for the month of May was to start a creative project. And what I actually done, I don't know if you can see, I'm going to put the camera up a bit so you can see her. So I actually started creating this doll, right? I've got a sew on her eyes and stuff. But this doll's got alopecia. She's got like Corey short earrings. She's got, this is a sterling silver bangle that's too small for me, so I use it as a necklace with her for Corey shells. It's got hand knitted stroke crocheted, and that's my name, Abosede Kamuyi. I knitted a dress, some underwear. She's got string legs, so she's got like sandals as well. And I knitted her in strength colours, which are, to me, are yellow and orange, because her name is Strength, because this is my strength year. So, and I think it takes a strong person or a strong woman to be able to walk out with no hair on her head. So that's why I've called my alopecia doll Strength. I started her because, to me, the Page of Wands is all about starting a creation, but I've still got to finish her. Just put her back here. She can sit with Seraphina. Okay. So, as you know, I like to read Lenormand, and Lenormand cards that I think have got similar energy to the Page of Wands are two cards. The first card, which is card 1, is the Rider. The Rider represents new messages, fast-paced energy and exciting news. And then the second card, which I think has got Page of Wands energy, is the Child. Because for me, I see pages as children, and it's about new beginnings, fresh start, young energy, naivety. Although both represent a start of a journey, the Page of Wands is about the start of a creative project or creative streak. So the zodiac sign is Sagittarius. In my opinion, So although the Page of Wands is linked to all the fire signs, which is Leo, Aries and Sagittarius, it can often be linked to Sagittarius as a page. Sagittarius has more of a youthful energy and is adventurous, free spirit nature and got a creative passion. And I do think that pages are quite free spirited and creative. Planetary influences. So I've got here Mars. So Mars is associated with action, ambition and impulsive energy. The Sun, because the Sun is associated with fire, creativity and enthusiasm. And Mercury. Mercury is associated with learning, new ideas, messages, curiosity and exploration. And I associate all these three with the Page of Wands. So in terms of health, for me, this is my own personal interpretation. The Page of Wands is associated with exploring fresh ideas or alternative therapies that can energize one's healing. So for the month of May, I've done 2 hashtags on my YouTube channel. The first one was called 10 decks never leaving my collection. That was from Simon at the Hermit's Cave. And then the second hashtag that I done was called 10 decks 10 tarot tubers, and that was by Nova Monday. I also done 3 flip throughs and first impressions of the Shadow Seer Tarot, the Arcana deck and the Ritual Kitchen Tarot. How did my Page of Wands month go? My major goal for the month of May was to bring a spark of joy and innovation into my life by starting a creative project. So I managed to achieve this goal by knitting a doll with alopecia called Strength. She is still incomplete, but I have started the major foundation. Because for me, pages aren't always about completion. They're about more about, you know, starting and building that foundation. I also intend to knit her a lion that I will call Leo. So because she is a Strength card and Strength has got a lion, I am going to knit her a lion doll. I might show it to you next month if I finish it. And that lion's going to be called Leo. But you know what? This is a jumper that I'm knitting for her, and I keep on unpicking it. I can see all my errors in there. Missing it in the top part now. Got to pick it up around the collar, but I keep on unpicking it because I can see a lot of errors and stuff in there. So my critical eye keeps on spotting knitting errors, but I keep on unraveling and starting again, which is holding up my project. Maybe I need to accept my creative imperfections. I also had a health goal to explore alternative therapies that can energize my healing. I managed to achieve this goal. I received an hour massage from somebody called Kai Chi Tao, who deals with holistic massage. His focus is on dynamic breath work and body work, helping you to reconnect and be in harmony with your body. Kai's technique is from traditional Chinese and Vietnamese healing. So even though Kai is a Londoner, talks with a London accent, he's recently reconnected with I think he said he's half Chinese and half Vietnamese. But I think he said that he used to, you know, when he was younger, he got caught up in the wrong crowd. But now that he's older, I think he's probably in his 50s now, he's kind of reconnected with all his cultural traditions. So he gave me a body scan via massage, and he told me to stop drinking cold drinks, adding salt to my food and controlling my sugar intake, which is so true because it was hot. We had a heat wave in London recently. I was drinking loads of cold drink from the fridge, and in general I do tend to have cold drinks. He said it's not good for my health. And then I do have a habit of adding salt to my food, which is not good either, you know, and I have got a bit of a sweet tooth. So all those things were right, and he could tell that by just massaging my body, and you know, that's what he gave me. His massage was around 1 hour, and it was to do with one of my chronic conditions. By the end of the session, I was able to lift my leg in a position that I did not know I could. I slept like a baby that evening, and I look forward to my next appointment. So overall, I've had a productive, creative and healing month. I managed to start a creative project. I managed to find alternative health measures and just do things creatively for the month of May, and that was what my goal was. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.